How many times have we turned our heads to spot a man sleeping on the pavement? How often do we notice someone struggling to earn even one square meal a day? Quite often, we simply pass by the people who require our attention the most, or at best show our concern towards the poor by throwing a few coins into their bowl. With this, our role as a responsible individual may seem complete. But does the responsibility of government end here? As policymakers, our role is not to provide mere sustenance, but it is also to empower the community through various welfare and development programs. It is a daunting task to identify the vulnerable and make them aware of their rights, as many of them live in places inaccessible even to sunlight. The demography of Delhi poses a greater challenge. Even though the per capita income is more than twice the national average, yet there are pockets of acute poverty within the city. In spite of this, the Delhi government is committed to take everyone along for inclusive growth of the city. This was precisely the raison d'etre of setting up the Samajik Suvidha Sangam, or the Mission Convergence. Ever since the Chief Minister, Shrimati Sheila Dikshit, along with Shrimati Saida Hamid, Member Planning Commission, formally launched the mission on 14th August 2008, it has been committed to extend the ambit of social security cover up to the weakest man in the society. Samajik Suvidha Sangam is a small step towards larger structural changes, leading to a paradigm shift in governance, wherein the beneficiary would now become the entitlement holder. It is an integrated approach towards poverty alleviation, social upliftment, and inclusive growth. The mission has formulated a new set of criteria for defining poverty that is based on Urban Poverty Vulnerability Index rather than conventional income criteria. These criteria have been carefully drawn up in consultation with leading social sector experts and members of the Planning Commission. One of the first tasks of the mission was to enumerate the vulnerable population in the city. Thus, a massive household survey was carried out in targeted areas that had a large concentration of vulnerable groups. This operation makes Delhi the first state in the country to have evolved a mechanism for accurately identifying the target group by using spatial, social, and occupational vulnerability as the criteria. This survey was carried out through intensive community participation in which 9 district resource centers and 80 gender resource centers, Suvidha Kendras, played their roles. The surveyors and other volunteers were picked from the community being surveyed. This ensured that the surveyors were fully aware of the realities of the community they were working with. The data gathered from this survey now serves as a single registry of vulnerable households for the government. The mission is currently working on developing family development and family vulnerability indices that will help in further classifying the targeted population according to their degree of vulnerability. This exercise will prove useful in planning and prioritizing the programs and monitoring its impact over the years. The task of Samajik Suvidha Sangam is not confined to identification of the vulnerable population. It also ensures that the many existing social service facilities are fully integrated, rationalized, and cross-fertilized so as to give the optimum benefit. For supervision and planning, a governing council has been set up with the Chief Secretary as its chairman. Its program management unit is headed by the mission director. For implementation of the programs at the district level, district convergence forums have been formed. The Deputy Commissioner's offices provide the required forum for district-level planning, monitoring, and coordination of programs. This makes the role of the DCs as that of development administrators. The first 2 phases of the survey have been successfully completed. nearly 4 lakh households have been categorized as vulnerable and about 3.5 lakh households as most vulnerable. The survey reveals that nearly 87,000 households are headed by women and more than 700 households by children. It would be startling to note that more than 39,000 people in the surveyed areas are rag pickers and nearly 1,37,000 are construction workers. All these people are to be given an e-entitlement Suvidha card for easy access to their entitlements. This card will be one of the ways of authenticating the entitlement holder and will help the government in ensuring that the benefits of the scheme reach out to the marginalized and the excluded community. The database is already being used by different departments for enrollment in various schemes. For instance, Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana is using this database for giving away the RSBY cards in Delhi. The GRC Suvidha Kendras are acting as the facilitation and enrollment points for this program. The team of community-based organizations and volunteers work tirelessly to help the vulnerable. To cite a recent example, they identified and reached out to a homeless woman who was forced to give birth to a child in an open park. They helped her secure the benefits of Janani Suraksha Yojana for herself and Ladli scheme for a newborn girl child. The mission focuses on empowerment of women and seeks to reach out to the families through women as the nucleus. The GRC Suvidha Kendras serve as a single window for most needs. These Kendras form an interface between the community and the government as they carry out activities ranging from enrollment, verification and facilitation to grievance redressal. Besides, these Kendras serve as integrated service delivery centers to provide micro-enterprise, legal counseling and vocational training to the underprivileged women. In the last calendar year, these Kendras had imparted vocational training to more than 16,000 women, while giving legal counseling and support to 55,000 more. They had helped raise 484 women's self-help groups with about 10,000 members. Last year, only 40 such Kendras were active, whereas now their number has gone up to 78. The mission expects to double the outcome this year. The recent initiative of entrusting the running of the canteen at Delhi Secretariat to one of the gender resource centers demonstrates the commitment of the government to create livelihood opportunities for underprivileged women. All these exercises are headed towards the ultimate goal of empowering the community and making the people self-reliant while bringing accountability and transparency in governance. The mission has been making serious efforts for fulfilling the hopes of the poor through building their capacity and making them aware of their entitlements. All this has made the people look at the Samajik Suvidha Kendras with a new ray of hope. These Kendras may not be a panacea for all their predicaments, but they certainly go a long way towards empowering the community and giving people control over their life and destiny.